Okay, so it says ولبس بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولبس إزار ورداء أبيضين جديدين ثم مغسولين. Right, so to wear white clothes, new white clothes. If you can't have new white clothes, then at least washed white clothes. ونعلين to wear, what's it called? Sandals. وركعتان يحرم بعدهما مستقبلا. But you pray 2 rak'ahs and then you face the Qibla and enter Ihram. So because you pray before you enter Ihram, you cannot do this prayer after Asr or after Fajr. Okay? Um, فأكثر بعدما ذكر في غير وقت الكراهة إلا في حرم مكة كما مر. So if you're in the Haram itself, it's never haram to pray in the Haram. You can always pray in the Haram. Pray after Asr, do anything you want. عند ابتداء سيره, then you start entering, you enter ihram like that, and you enter ihram as you start journeying. ويسن دخول مكة قبل الوقوف ومن أعلاها نهارا وماشيا وحافيا. So it's better to go to Mecca before you go to Arafah, right? So you arrive beforehand. Go ahead, Badr.
I mean, so you said you can always pray in the Haram, even during the prohibited prayer times?
Correct, yeah.
What's the reasoning behind that?
There's a hadith to that effect.
There's a hadith about it. Okay.
Yeah. So you could, excuse me. You can always, and on Fridays you can always pray at noon, and in the Haram you can always pray. There's no Haram time to pray in the Haram.
Okay.
Okay. ويسن, so go the okay. Naharan mashiyan wa hafiyan, to walk, not ride, and to be barefoot and not have sandals on. وأن يطوف للقدوم, right? And to do your arrival tawaf is sunnah. إن كان حاجا أو قارنا, right? Whatever you're doing, you do arrival tawaf. ودخل مكة قبل الوقوف, right? Or if one is a qarin and you've arrived before doing your wuquf at Arafah. فصل واجبات الطواف ثمانية. So these are like the arkan or the shurut of tawaf. ستر عورتي, you have to cover your awrah. وطهارة الحدث والنجس, and to have wudu and to not have filth on you. So basically each tawfa, each is its own thing. So if you break wudu or your aura comes off in the middle of that one's broken, but not the whole 7, right? So it says ويعفى عما يشق الاحتراز عنه في المطاف من ذرق الطيور وغيرها حيث لا رطوبة ولم يتعمده. You didn't step on the pigeon droppings, nor was it wet. So it was dry and you stepped on it, it's fine, right? So anyway, najasa. وَجَعْلُ الْبَيْتِ عَنْ يَسَارِهِ, and that if you draw a line from your right shoulder to your left shoulder, you will always be pointing at the Kaaba. So if you turn away from the Kaaba, that's fine, but you can't move. So you're going to face the Kaaba, kiss the black stone, turn, and then start walking. You do not walk facing the Kaaba. You walk with your shoulders drawing a line towards the Kaaba. Okay. والابتداء بالحجر الأسود. And you have to start with the black stone. Okay, what if you don't start with the black stone? It doesn't mean anything. It just means you haven't started yet, right? So you started your tawaf, let's say, for example, on the other side. It just means it hasn't started yet, that's all, right? Like it's almost like this. Like imagine if you were walking walking and you're saying, Allahu Akbar, I hereby intend to pray. And then you kept repeating yourself. So you're walking, walking, walking. You're saying you're intending to pray, and you're saying Allahu Akbar, and you're walking. As soon as you stop, and then you're still saying Allahu Akbar, intending to pray, that's when the prayer would start. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like saying when it's a wajib, it means like a shart, right? It's not like you're obliged to do that. It just your tawaf simply doesn't start until that point. That's all it's saying, right? So, do I have to make sure I start here or start there? No, it's just it only starts at that point. That's all. Or like fasting. Imagine like you intend to start fasting. Well, you're not really fasting until the Fajr comes in, right? ومحاذاته بجميع بدنه, and that you are parallel to it with your whole body. So none of your body, you can't be inside the Kaaba, nor can your hand be touching the Kaaba. Because if your hand is touching the Kaaba, then your hand is actually, because the edge, that now slanted edge, is actually inside the Kaaba. So if you're walking around with your hand on the edge of the Kaaba, then what? You're considered inside the Kaaba. So you can't do that. Okay. وكونه سبعا, and you have to go around 7 times. وكونه داخل المسجد, you have to be inside the masjid and outside of the house. So you cannot be inside the Kaaba itself, nor can you be outside of the masjid. So remember, we have these 3 lines. We have masjid, haram, what was it? Masjid, haram, and miqat, right? So you have to be inside the masjid, not just inside the haram, right? But you have to be outside of the house. وعن the shadharwan. Shadharwan is that ledge that used to be there. People used to walk along. Now nobody can climb on it anymore. And you have to be outside of the Hijr al-Ismail. So that semicircle, you have to be outside of that. So that Hijr Ismail is a bit awkward in that it doesn't count as the Kaaba in terms of facing the Qibla, right? So if you stood facing the Kaaba and then you go sideways such that you're facing that semicircle, but you're not facing the Kaaba, your prayer wouldn't count because you're not facing the Qibla. But at the same time, so basically we don't know how big the Kaaba is. So we don't treat it as Kaaba in terms of facing the Qibla, but we do treat it as Qibla in terms of being outside of that thing. He says here, بل لنا وجه أن مسح جدار الكعبة لا يضر لخروج معظم بدنه عن البيت. Go ahead, Yaqub.
You said people would walk on the Shadar one?
Yeah, so it's like this. So you have the Kaaba, and on the bottom you have this edge, this little kind of one layer. There's kind of this kind of like skirt around it that is thick enough, that was long enough for people to walk around, and they stopped doing it now.
So why? So then
here,
it's are we
this is
technically a part of the
recently.
Kaaba? So like it used to be part of the Kaaba, and that's why it's still counted that you can't touch it.
Yeah. So basically, what happened here? Look at this. Okay. So you see this here, this ledge here. You can't. This is tilted now, right? Until recently, like when I went on Hajj, it was not tilted. it stuck out like this. Like it was, so people used to walk along this and then to touch a black stone. It used to be like this. Okay. So now they've made it so people can't climb it anymore. So now you're walking here. Okay, this is outside the Kaaba, but this is inside the Kaaba. So if you stood on this ledge, you walk like this. Like you walked up onto it and fell come off. Or you walked with your hand, walk along with your hand, touching the Kaaba, then you are considered inside the Kaaba. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Sheikh. Can you repeat that? When is it inside the Kaaba?
One second, let's do that again. So you see this okay, so imagine you put your hands on the Kaaba.
Yes,
So
yeah.
if you drew a line from this place here and it went up, your hand would be in that area.
Inside. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So let's say your hand is touching the black stone, your hand is inside the Kaaba.
Yeah, okay.
So
I
now,
understand.
if you moved along, so you're standing here, you touch the black stone and you walk around like this while touching the black stone. That didn't count. You have to go back because you weren't your part of your body was inside the Kaaba.
So you have to touch it with your hand stretched out, pretty much.
It's not that. It's that even if you is that you can't move. So what happens is you get here, you turn and face the Kaaba, touch it, turn back, and then move. But you cannot be moving while any part of your body is inside the Kaaba.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Do they give you a moment to just stop and just touch it and then stay,
Mm,
or it's kind of difficult?
it is difficult, and so you have to be quick. You know,
Hmm.
it's quite hard to touch a black stone. You know?
And for Hajj, is it fard or is it just it's a sunnah?
Just a sunnah. It's not for Hajj and Umrah. It's not because you can't. It's impossible to get everybody to do it. Okay. ومن سننه المشي is to walk, i.e. not to ride, to not be on a camel or something like that, unless there's some kind of benefit. واستلام الحجر, and to touch the black stone. وتقبيله, and to kiss it. ووضع جبهته عليه, and to put your forehead on it. واستلام الركن اليماني, and to touch the stone, the pillar that comes before it. Right. والأذكار, and to say various different adhkar that are related there. Right. So you can find all these things later. في كل مرة ولا يسن للمرأة الاستلام والتقبيل إلا في خلوة. It is not recommended for a woman to touch the black stone or to kiss the black stone unless there's nobody else there. There's only women there or something like that. Right. So the same thing applies like someone's kissing their baby. Right. So many women, for example, they'll do things like that. You know, intentionally or unintentionally. Right. So men and women, but women specifically, you have to have 3 different yous. Right. There's the public you, there's the family you, and then there's the bedroom you. These are 3 different people. Right. So many people, they cross this line. It's weird. You know, like it's kind of like, you know, like here's, for example, a woman, she feels comfortable in a bikini in front of her family. So, well, that's a bedroom you. That's not a family you. And then, for example, her joking or being loud or, you know, kissing the cat and saying, "Oh, you're so cute." That's family you, not public you, right? And so they don't understand this. People don't understand these things, right? This is basic haya, but basically it's ways of carrying yourself. Right? Okay. The same thing with holding hands. Husband and wife holding hands, that's culturally relative, right? Depends where you are. Right? So يسن للرجل الرمل في الثلاثة الأول. So he should trot in the first 3 times he goes around. So he's not running, he's like trotting. في طواف بعده سعي, on the condition that that's a tawaf that's followed by a sa'i. So how could you have a tawaf that's not followed by a sa'i? Well, it's possible you did this. You did ifrad, for example. You did a just hajj. So you arrived, you entered ihram to do hajj. You arrived and you did your tawaf al-qadum, your arrival tawaf. And then after your arrival tawaf, you did your obligatory sa'i before the hajj starts. You did your obligatory sa'i. You went between Safa and Marwa 7 times. And then, without leaving ihram, you went to Arafah. And then, without leaving ihram, you went to Stone, spent the night in Muzdalifah, went to Stone the next morning, cut your hair, and then, without leaving ihram, you come and do your tawaf, and now you leave ihram. So what's happened is you never cut off these things. So you can't have a point where these things are cut off. So in tamattu, you come and you do one ritual, which is called umrah, and then you leave ihram, and then you start a new ritual, which is called hajj, right? That's called tamattu. But in ifrad, you what's it called? In ifrad, you don't do that. You're just doing one thing. You're not leaving ihram in the middle. So it says here that you have to do. So it's sunnah for a man to do ramal in the first tawaf, if that is a tawaf that is followed by sa'i. But if it's not, then you don't do that. وَلِلطِّبَاعُ, which is to expose your shoulder. Which one are you وهو جعل وسط رداءه تحت منكب الأيمن وطرفيه على منكب اليسار. Yeah, so you're exposing your right shoulder. That's called al-ittiba'. والقرب من البيت, to get close to that, as close to the house as possible. والموالاة, and to be continuous. So in principle, you could just stop. Right? You could just you can just like stop in the middle and just like sit there for like 5 hours and then pray and then do this and do that. But it's recommended you do it in one go. And then to do 2 rak'ahs behind the Hijr Ismail afterwards. Right, so there's this Hijr Ismail, there's a little building there. Sorry, the Maqam Ibrahim, where it is believed that Sayyidina Ibrahim stood when picking up the rocks for the Kaaba. So it says Faslun wa wajibat as-sa'i. When you're going between Safa and Marwa, what are the wajibat? Arba'atun. And yabda fil ula bis Safa. So the same thing. What does that even mean? It's obligatory to start Safa. Well, what if I don't know which one's which? Right? What if I don't know? So what it means is it doesn't start until you start Safa. So you started at one of them. So if you just go back and forward, you've got to go 7 in total, right? So you imagine you should go back and forward 4 times. So if I started at Marwa, so that means the Marwa to Safa didn't count. So then I went back and forward 7 times, khalas. Right? So it doesn't matter. Just keep going until you've done 8 back and forward. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You've definitely done Safa and Marwa. وفي الثانية بالمروة وكونه 7. So again, it's 7. وأن يكون بعد طواف ركن أو قدوم. Right? It has to be after the. So again, after the qudum, as long as there's no gap in between. Okay. خير. وسننه الارتفاع على الصفا والمروة قامة, to go up to the height of a standing person. So basically there's these two hills or two ramps that you go up to the height of how it would be required to stand as a person. والذكر, now in reality, so right now there's a line there. So you go up it, you can't come down the other side without going a certain height up. But before that wasn't there, right? والذكر والدعاء ثلاثا بعد كل مرة والمشي أوله وآخره والعدو في الوسط. Right, so the first and the last and all the other ones should be ran as a man. They should, right? So, so he says عدوا شديدا بحسب طاقته, run as fast as you can, as much as you can, بحيث لا تأذي ولا إيذاء, providing you don't get harmed and you don't harm anybody else. فإن عجز عنه لنحو زحمة تشبه في حركته بالسعي, right? So if it's too many people, you just try and make it look like that as much as possible. And he says ومكانه العدو معروف. Right? So he said, and I think they've moved this now as well, but it used to be well known. There was these green lines on the floor. When I was there, these three green lines on the floor. So it says here, وهو معروف. Where should you run? It's well known. Right? So the beginning and the end, and then you run in between. Right? But women don't do that. Okay. Next thing then is new chapter says وواجبات الوقوف, staying at Arafah. What are the conditions of Arafah? حضوره بأرض عرفة بعد زوال يوم عرفة, that you be there, right? So you have to simply be at a place, okay? ولو مار, even if you're just passing through, right? وإن لم يعلم أن المكان مكانه, even if you didn't know that it was a place, right? ونائما, even if you were asleep. بشرط كونه عاقلا, on the condition that you be insane, right? فلا يكفي مع جنون, so if you were insane, okay, or you were in a coma, or you were drunk or under general anesthetic, it wouldn't count, right? The same kind of discussion there, right? Okay, so otherwise, basically, you're asleep and you drove past Arafah sometime between noon on the 9th and Fajr on the 10th, خلاص, counts. ويبقى إلى الفجر وسننه الجمع بين الليل والنهار, so you're there from Dhuhr and you stay till Maghrib and then you leave. والتهليل والتكبير والتلبية, to say لا إله إلا الله, الله أكبر, لبيك اللهم لك, تسبيح والتلاوة والصلاة على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, وإكثار البكاء معها والاستقبال, face the قبلة, والطهارة والستارة, and to be not be exposed to the sun. Uh, So sitara it is recommended to cover yourself. Oh no, it's not. There's two different things. Sitara meaning covered, having your aura covered. And then al-buruz, the shams, to expose yourself to the sun. It is recommended. إِلَّا لِعُذْرٍ, unless you have an excuse, which is the case with all sunnahs. You do a sunnah unless you have an excuse. كَأَنْ يَتَضَرَّرْ بِهِ, you might be harmed. أو تنقص به عبادته, it's too difficult. Right? So if you're not able to do, if it's, for example, if you're able to do it, you should do that. Sometime in the sun, basically. وعند الصخور الصخرات للرجل, and you should be you should and men should be next to the boulders of Jabal al-Rahma, but they shouldn't be on Jabal al-Rahma. So there's a mountain, people climb up on it, you should not do that. So it says وَلْيَحْذَرْ صعود جبل الرحمة فإنه بدعة خلافا لما زعمه أن سنة وأنه موقف الأنبياء. Right. So anyway, you shouldn't do that. Ya Rab. As for women, then they should be in a different place. They should be far away from other people as possible. Right. Go ahead, Badr.
Did I catch that right? That climbing on Jabal Rahma is a bid'ah?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay, so people just kind of made that up when this book
Yeah.
was written.
Yeah, so it is something that people do and whatever, but it has no basis. Okay, and it says, وَالْجَمَعْ بَيْنَ الْعَصْرَيْنِ لِلْمُسَافِرِ, if you are traveling, if you are traveling, and you might not be a traveler, right? And I'm just going to mention this, and then if you saw that question, where is it? Where is it? On the Shafi group, it's like 332, I think. Q&A. Trying to find the question here. I'm sure it is 332. Here we go. I don't know if this is readable. Okay, so if one arrives in Mecca, then goes to Arafah or any other place outside of Mecca. So Arafah is one place. Mecca, Arafah is outside of Mecca. It's not traveling distance from Mecca, but it's outside. It's another place, right? So then comes back to Mecca. One is considered a traveler. Is one considered a traveler, and can one therefore join prayers? So the Shafi'is agree that basically Arafah is only permissible to join for a traveler, and not just anyone on Hajj. In the Shafi'i school, one becomes a resident muqim at a place by arriving with the intention of staying there for 4 days. If one arrives in Mecca with the intention to stay there for 4 days, okay, so you arrived in Mecca, you're there for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 days, then goes out to Arafah, and Mecca is now your reference point. And Arafah is not traveling distance from Mecca, so therefore you cannot join when you go to Arafah. With the intention to return to Mecca, then one comes back to Mecca, one is considered a resident muqim when one first arrives in Mecca at Arafah and when one returns to Mecca, and therefore one may not join prayers. Right? You're not a traveler. Okay, make sense?
Yes.
B, if one arrives in Mecca and stays there for less than 4 full days. So you arrived and you're there for 2 days. You're going to arrive on the 8th, you're going to go to Mina. And you arrive on the 6th. So you arrived on the 6th, you did your tawaf al-qadum. Okay. Or you did your umrah, you left ihram, and on the 8th, you entered ihram and went to Mina. On the 9th, you went to Arafah. So you go to Mina, you can join and shorten at Mina. Go to Arafah, you come back to, and then he says, and then it says, then goes to Arafah with the intention to return to Mecca, then comes back to Mecca with the intention to stay for less than 4 days. Then one is considered a traveler when one first arrives in Mecca at Arafah and when one returns to Mecca, and therefore one joins the whole time. Right? Make sense?
Yeah, just one thing. So for point A, if you arrive in Mecca with the intention to stay there for 4 days, with the intention, so um, on the first day, even though you have the intention to stay for 4 days, can you combine prayers up to the 4 days?
No, you cannot. As soon as you arrive at a place with the intention to stay there 4 days, you're no longer you're considered muqim. You have to pray
Okay,
Jummah, you have to
okay.
fast, etc. Right? So that's now.
Hmm.
So if one arrives with the intention to stay for less than 4 days, so you're still a traveler, then goes to Arafah, still a traveler, with the intention to return to Mecca and stay for 4 days or more, then comes back to Mecca with the aforesaid intention, one is considered a traveler when one first arrives in Mecca. Right? But at Mecca, but not when one is considered a traveler when one first arrives in Mecca. So basically now we're going to say it's 2 days. So you're 2 days, 2 days, 4 days. So you're not a traveler. You're not a. So now you're coming back. You are basically. Do we look at the whole thing as soon as you arrived in Mecca, you're a traveler, or not? How does it work out, right? But not when one returns to Mecca, and therefore one may join. One may join upon arrival and at Arafah. But not when one returns back to Mecca. So basically, you're still on the journey until you come back to Mecca. This is the position towards which Ibn Hajar inclined in the Tuhfa, and was supported by Aramli. بل فقيه الأشخر and الترمسي وترمسي. Okay. That said, elsewhere Ibn Hajar mentioned that in such a scenario, one will become a resident as soon as one arrives in Mecca. Okay. The former position seems to be reliable and Allah knows best. Okay. So there's a debate there, right? So this is very practical. It happens. You're going to see your aunt in New York, okay, on Eid. You're going to be there for a day. And then you're going to go see your other aunt in New Jersey. And then you're going to come back, right? Is it traveling distance from New Jersey to New York? I don't think so, right?
I'm not sure.
I don't, as far as I know, it's like, Yaqub, you know?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. So it's kind of like right next to each other. So do you, so the question is, as soon as you arrive, because you're going to come back there, does that make you you come back there to stay? But now it's another scenario where I'm gonna arrive in London and then I'm gonna go out to a non-traveling distance place and then come back to London and go out, and I'm never intending to be in London for 4 full days. Then I'm a traveler the whole time. Right, that's clear. But the issue is you're gonna go to A, so you leave A and go to B, and then go to C, and then come back to B. Did you become a traveler when you arrived first at B or not? That was the question. Does that make sense? Go ahead, Yaqub.
But if you're going to stay to the 13th day of Tashriq, then I don't see how you're not a muqim, because you'd have to be there at the 8th or 9th day, and that's 4 days. So if you're staying till the 13th,
I come on the 8th. I come on the 8th, leave on I come on the 6th, leave on the 8th. Okay? Go spend the night in Mina. Then I go to Arafah. Then I go to Muzdalifah. Then I go to Mina. Then I go to Mecca. Mecca, I do my tawaf, I do my sa'i, then go back to Mina. So then I'm at Mina for the 11th, 12th, and 13th. And then I go back to Mecca to do my tawaf al-wada' and go home. Does that make sense?
so you're still a traveler because you're crossing, these are boundary lines. It's not.
Yeah, because these are not the same place. Mina
Mm.
is not Mecca. It's travel. It's a not the same place. Now, if it were the same place, khalas, like it's all part of New York City. It's a huge place, right? Crossing New York City, what, 3 hours? I don't know how long it takes. You know, like with traffic and all these things, it could take you forever. But you're in one place. But the issue is Mecca and Mina are not the same place. These are towns outside of the city of Mecca. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, خير. شاء الله we'll stop here. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.